Okay. I'd like to call the October meeting of the Properties Committee to order. Our first order on our agenda is approval of the minutes. Excuse me, this is our November meeting. To approve the minutes from our October 7th meeting. Do we have any additions, corrections, or anything? Otherwise, I will say they have been approved. Oh, yes, we do have a quorum, and we'd like to welcome back Jim Kraus, who has been out because of ankle surgery, and he's finally joined us. Welcome. All right. Before we get to our discussion on our facility tour, I'd like to thank Carl and Russ for leading us through and showing us all the facilities, and also to thank the staff that was also involved. We couldn't do it without everybody's help. Fortunately, this year, it doesn't seem we have found any major projects that we have to push through. I think we're all very pleased with some of the projects we approved last year are underway or scheduled, especially over at Beardsley. We really appreciate the new lighting in the pool area, and the other projects will be completed in this fiscal year, so, or at least started in this fiscal year. One of the things I think that we noticed on our tour of R.H. Johnson is that prior to our recommendation for the rip and sew, that it would have been helpful if we had seen the facility, the room, before we made our recommendation. This is in the budget request. It was approved by the governing board, but I think in future times, and whoever's chair of a committee can make that recommendation. And also, as the priorities go through on the different projects, we'll see who survives and who doesn't, because that's how it works in the budget cycle every year. I thought we did. Oh, because it's in Carl's budget request. Yeah. Okay. All right. But I mean, I think that taught us a good lesson, that I think that all the committees, before they make their recommendation on the club proposals, that we go look at the facility. No. All right, our next item on the agenda, unless somebody has anything to add to our facility tours that might have been left off, or Tom?
Yes, I sent you a copy of a photograph of tennis court 14 at R.H. Johnson. There's a great big crack along one side. I seem to recall something about when they were put in. Carl, can you?
Yes, that's a very good question. So 4 years ago, we remodeled all of the tennis courts to post-tension slabs. The tennis courts themselves are cubes of concrete with post-tension in it, approximately 5 to 8 inches thick. And adjacent to them is the drain system, which is a cube of concrete that's 2 to 3 foot wide by about 2 feet deep. The design and engineering on that was to have those doweled together so that as concrete expands and contracts during the temperatures of the season, that they would move together. Those big cubes in the drain area don't actually move. So we have plans underway right now. We did a test court, which was court number 15, and it has sat for almost a year. And our repair to that, which was saw cutting and relieving the doweling between the two, and then creating about a 1-inch gap for specialty caulkings. That has not moved in a year. So we plan on doing that at the 6 other locations. And we are in discussion right now on scheduling that and having discussions with the tennis club so that it's not an impact, but doing a couple courts at a time, possibly starting in December. So we do have a plan for those repairs.
Thank you. One other thing, I noticed that the signage, the numbers on the posts out here in the parking lot, the row number 14, whatever, the Sun City West logo is fading out very rapidly because of the sun. Is there an idea to spruce those up or do anything with those?
Yeah, we'll have to have those probably remade and maybe take a different approach because they definitely didn't give us the life we were looking for. But that is being taken under advisement as to what's the best way to go.
All right, moving on. Any other comments on our tours? Okay, moving on to our proposed cell tower location. We did view all 3 locations. And Carl, you want to, Russ, you want to start this off?
So we did add, they had selected 3 locations for and again, I'm going to clarify, they're only looking for 1 site out of all these. Carl and I ran around and find possibilities for that site to be, and that's what Properties is going to agree on, all sites, 2 sites, 1 site, or no sites. One of them that they eliminated was number 2, which is between the Social Hall and Hillcrest Golf Course, which is back in Todd's area. Where they wanted it, it kind of is right in the middle of what Carl's going to be doing with Todd's area and Edward's office and things of that nature. So we excluded that location. However, I did meet with them on site a week prior to our walkthrough. And there's a circle behind number 2. It's right under won't meet minimum setbacks. By sliding that 80 feet away from Hillcrest fence, that is a viable location. So we did go and put an eye on that. So that's why there's 3 instead of 2.
So I think our next step is to poll the committee to see which site is a preference or if all 3 are. I'll start with Barb.
Can you repeat that? I was sneezing, I didn't get your question.
Roberta, might
the
have,
3 locations for the cell towers, do you have a preference?
I like number 1.
it might be easier if you all vote on 1 and then 2 and then 3.
Okay.
So that way, because we're not looking for just 1. If we can give them 3, then we'll give them 3.
And
But
then
by
we
doing
give
it
them
this
3
way,
recommendations.
right,
Right,
yes,
right.
yeah, we'll
All
see which
right.
ones make it through.
Okay, all those supporting recommendation 1.
Aye.
Well, let's get a count. 4, 5, so there's 5 for 1. Number 2.
That's the new number 2. Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, number 3. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it looks like the consensus is for 3, and then 2, and then 1. So 3
Or-
would be it.
All 3, actually.
Pardon?
All 3 made it through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the preference was the 3rd one.
I'd like to re-clarify that. So my perception is that all three passed, and that, so it's virtually, all three are going to be presented to them, and it's up to them to decide which one they want.
That's correct, and also keep in mind that we're not the only location they're looking at, so they may decide none of ours.
Okay,
All we're doing is providing them options.
all right.
All right, thank you. Carl, you want to go on to the capital improvement projects?
Katie, could you throw up the slide for capital project planning process? All right, folks, we're here today, and you could see that over the last year, thanks to the help of Director Donna Maloney and staff, we reviewed all of our policies and revised, and the governing board approved the project planning process addendum. You can find this addendum at any given time under board docs, under the facilities policies. The purpose of this addendum was the old addendum did not really align with policy, so we've never changed any policies in our project planning process. We just created a flow chart so that you could have appropriate understanding of how this process works. So in the big violet circle, you can see you are here. That simply points out that in the months of October and November, you have been given the opportunity for any CR13 requests from clubs or FR1s from staff or governing board recommendations. And you did see the presentations for the two CR13s. All committees have. That happened in the month of October. Here we are in our committee meetings now for the month of November. And what I'll be giving to you in a presentation momentarily is simply the capital projects list that has come from two major sources, which is our reserve study modeling tool and from recommendations, either CR13s or staff new projects. The list that I'll be reading off today is just simply the list that goes to the general manager by December 1st to be implemented into the proposed overall annual budget. So that's our purpose today, and I just wanted to show you where you are on the project planning process. I'd like to start off by saying that this list was given Tuesday also to chartered clubs. They reviewed and made very few comments, and it got a recommendation to move forward to the governing board to be given to the general manager. The only thing that has changed between Tuesday and today is the format and layout of which I gave it to chartered clubs. We had a couple comments. Could it be a little more legible? So we increased just coloring and font, and the order of importance with totals per a request of Director Ann Brown from Budget and Finance. So you are going to see the same report as Budget and Finance is going to see. So let me start off with saying our first items here are what we call new. These are either CR13s that came from clubs or recommendations that came from others, including staff or governing board. So rip and sew cabinet reface request is project number 1. The Clay Club monitor station and storage is item number 2. And then new capital items that will be implemented into this list is environmental services maintenance yard, a property fence, and gates. That simply is a fence system coming up from Hillcrest along the Oleanders all the way up to the book shed with a gate opening in the current roads, paths of travel that we have there, and then a gate system at the very entrance by the block wall near Fry's. So the purpose of this project is to enclose the environmental services yard, We have experienced people illegally dumping in the back where we have our area of trash containment, dirt piles, and it's become quite the mess. And then we've had vehicles and equipment messed with. And right now, it's just an open book. You can drive in and out without any question. So for that $44,000, we propose to enclose that with fencing all the way around and maintain the block wall between Fry's Environmental Services as is. The next line item is the maintenance yard storage, connex, roof, and gate enclosure. When I am complete in the next few months with the addition of the Environmental Services office, Todd's manager's office is going to be demoed and removed. The connex units and storage equipment that is in that area is also being removed because they're in the location of where the new addition goes. We are proposing to move those connexes over by the ARC storage connexes and create a gap in between the buildings. I pointed this out when we did our walks, and create a storage encampment, if you will, with a metal roof over between the two connexes and a gate on the front and the back so that we can secure golf carts and some vehicles. Moving on, we have the Beardsley Arts and Crafts storage yard. So on the very front of Beardsley Arts and Crafts off 128th Avenue, there is a masonry block wall enclosure. It is also experiencing the same issues that Environmental Services Yard is. People are just jumping over the fence. The very eastern side is purely open. There is no gates or anything like that. It's a walkway that goes all the way down to Clay Club. And so we are proposing to enclose that with an iron fence, tall enough to keep it secure with little decorative spiking on top, and raise the masonry wall with iron fencing so that it is secure and people can't just hop over. So then the last line item for new is, this is a Rec Centers of Sun City West community project, if you will. At the dead-end streets of North Lasso Drive and West Limewood Drive, we have the old cyclone fence gates that used to be the entrances to the Del Webb building sites off of Bell Road. And we are constantly experiencing where people are damaging these gates, breaking in, and we have others from outside of our community, moving in, if you will, and walking the canals. So it has been proposed for a couple years previously by our governing board president, Jim Sloan, and others to remove those cyclone fences and make them masonry walls straight across, and that will require some engineering, architectural, and then the process of building it. So that's being proposed.
That's the same area, one of the areas where the new storage facility that's being built on there off of Foxfire and Dysart. That's one of them? And is there any input from that building site that would maybe help defray the cost of having that wall? No?
It's not their property.
I know it's not their property, but it would be a benefit to them to have a solid wall, I would think, back there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on, this next section is in blue, is our capital project list right from the reserve study modeling tool. These are all repair and replacement projects. In summary, we have 2 asphalt projects being proposed. Deer Valley Pro Shop mill and replacement, and again, mill and replacement is the process of fully removing all the asphalt and putting down new. And then the larger of the 2 is the R.H. Johnson section number 2. That is from ARC, between ARC and Men's Club, all the way through pickleball, the library, and the common 2 drives between pickleball and library. So that is a pretty big project. I would approach that in a multi-phase process like we have done Kuntz. And if this gets approved, you'll know more as the season goes by. Then after that, I have a couple flooring projects, Palm Ridge Aquatic entry and the stairs and the upper carpet area by the walking track. We have the R.H. Johnson admin flooring project. This is a pretty large flooring project inside of admin. That carpet has met its useful life, and if approved, we will also be doing the lighting replacement that's on the budget this year, and doing painting improvements in those spaces of admin. The next couple line items are what we consider just projects. So Palm Ridge outdoor pool shade canopy fabric has met its useful life and will be replaced if approved. And then over the last few years, we've had the mini golf lighting and wiring replacement deferred for budgetary reasons, and that has come back, and we're proposing to get that done. Following with that is a couple of equipment line items, recreation equipment over at Palm Ridge for drapes and motors and a floor cleaner. And then facilities maintenance yearly HVAC unit replacement list, which is quite small in comparison. They've done a yeoman's job on replacing a lot of units in this current budget. The next 16 line items are simply roof restorations between pro shops and the maintenance yards for those golf courses. So that is the restoration of all those flat roofs. There's a handful of a couple tile roofs that are also at that same time frame. And then other than the 13 of the 16 golf courses, we have three rec center roofs. A maintenance building over by the tennis courts at Kuntz, the R.H. Johnson's men's club roof, and the R.H. Johnson Arts and Crafts buildings roofs. Moving on, Todd Patty is not with us today, but this is his capital portion that has been provided in this list from himself and Pat O'Hara and given to the CFO. So the items on this list include irrigation system replacement at Grandview, golf maintenance equipment and golf maintenance vehicles, which are yearly items that are in each budget. Todd currently has one shoreline repair at Grandview number 13. Golf ops, golf carts for golf courses, approximately 20. Replacement of the golf ball dispensers at all 7 courses. And then some more equipment and vehicles, green mowers, the greens mowers, and utility vehicles.
Yeah, Carl, I have a question. When we're looking at the irrigation, is this at Grandview, is that like taking it so that we're using less water and going more to a zero-scape type golf course or desert type golf course?
I'm going to answer this the best that I can, but this is in compliance to the ADWR guidelines that golf staff and the general manager have been working diligently on, and then also replacing the aged irrigation system to be in compliance with all of those directives. So whatever ADWR things that we're following, the irrigation system is being designed in accordance to that. And this is a already begun project as far as what was approved in last year's business. And this is for spring of '23 for the actual irrigation system.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, moving on is our final portion of this year's proposed list. We have yearly allowances. Allowance number 1 is changing demographics. We have ADA compliance upgrades. We have a very large one here this year, energy conservation. Generally, this is in the $30,000, $40,000, or $50,000 range. But what this covers is the conversion of lighting to LED fixtures here at the R.H. Johnson campus. This is our final campus. 100% of all the other campuses have been changed out over the last 4.5 years, and including parking lot lighting. 4 and 5 years ago, the parking lot lights were done here, and the only thing remaining because of the large size of this campus is the interior lighting. So this is a very accurate list, very accurate cost. And this would cover the whole entire campus conversion to LED. Moving on to safety and structural integrity for unknown items that are for safety or building integrity. Well pump replacement, information technology department, and allowance for miscellaneous equipment. That concludes my report of this list, and I'm open for any questions.
Do we have any questions for Carl?
Yes, Carl? Earlier this year, I was in conversation with Jack Stroop about a remodel at the men's club. I don't see that on the list anywhere. Has that been taken out?
That is a FY 21-22 current approved project and is on schedule to begin late April and through May.
It is?
Yes,
Okay.
that is already an approved project.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Anything from our audience? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Carl, you want to give your update on capital projects?
The November report for capital project update. R.H. Johnson, the metal shop addition, the facility continues to stay closed. The general contractor is foundation complete. Slab grading is complete. And they are on site beginning the masonry walls. We do have a industry shortage on grout. That is not the mortar that builds the walls, but it's the grout that goes in the walls. So we have adjusted the schedule to hand mix the grout. The general contractor's subcontractor will hand mix the grout for the first rows of blocks that create a stem wall to keep that schedule going forward. And then we will pour the floor next. And by the time that is done, we should be back on track for the remaining walls to go up. Other items for that project are moving along, internal modifications, so we're actually not having a delay. I just wanted to inform you of where the industry is on products. Cementatious products right now are virtually impossible to get due to the heavy climate of construction elsewhere. So, then moving on to the R.H. Johnson Swim and Fitness Center, hallways, restrooms, lockers, and shower rooms flooring project. I'm very happy to report it's looking beautiful. We will be completed with phase 1 tiling on next Friday, the 12th. And immediately going into the following Monday's closure for 2 weeks to demo phase 2. Todd Patty will be removing the dead palm trees during that phase. And we will also begin the rubber flooring replacement in the fitness room. So the only thing that will extend beyond the 2-week closure is the fitness room. But phase 1 will be reopened as far as bathroom and locker and shower room use because the pool will be open according to the dates that have been posted. So over at Kuntz, the parking lot asphalt mill and replacement, we have achieved our level of drawing that we need. This Friday, we begin finalizing the grading Friday and Saturday, and then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, we will lay the new asphalt, and that project will be complete next week. Over at Desert Trails, the Pro Shop patio restoration project is in progress. The front patio looks absolutely gorgeous with the new epoxy chip coat, very similar to what's used at Grandview's Pro Shop, and today they are working on the back patio. And that concludes my monthly report.
Thank you, Carl. Russ?
Okay, so from the operations side of things, they will be doing more extensive cleaning on the R.H. Johnson pool deck during that 2-week closure. From facilities maintenance, we did successfully repair the water line at Palm Ridge. We did leave the hole open in order for it to dry out. That has since dried out, and we are starting to backfill that as we speak. Then we'll get the concrete poured and then get the vendor back in to finish the deck material. LED lighting installation continues as time permits at Palm Ridge. We will be focusing on the outdoor pool first, as they have no lights, and then we'll move back out onto the front of the complex to finish changing out those fixtures. Painting of the golf course maintenance yards, we're still at 5 of 7 complete. We're halfway through yard number 6, and then we have to go back and finish up. I believe it was the second one we started, and that whole entire project will be done. And then we're going to look at starting to do the exterior of Palm Ridge. We also replaced 2 drinking fountains over at the Beardsley Pool to the bottle filler style. Excessive wait time to get those in. It took like 6 weeks to get them in, but they finally came in and been installed. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Carl or Russ? Okay. Any committee comments? Do we have any guest comments? Anybody online? No. Please state your name and your rec card number, please.
Now? Mike Cassandra, 112330. I was looking at your, when you did your walkthroughs, I didn't see anything about Kuntz tennis courts. Is that omitted, or? I was wondering about the Kuntz tennis courts on your walkthrough. I didn't hear anything about it.
To give an update on the Kuntz tennis courts, general manager and staff have discussed that we are going to be starting those pickleball lines on November 9th. And then beyond that, part of master planning is to discuss how we go forward with and placing dollars in the budget to determine what ideas come from the future or do court repairs. And right now, that would be in the master planning process.
So currently, it's not anywhere in the budget, any money allocated for that, is that correct?
There are dollars that are allocated in the budget from years ago on the regular repair and replacement, but no dollars will be spent until master planning determines what's the course for the tennis facility.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other comments from the audience? Our next meeting is going to be on December 2nd, but please note, we're going to be over at Kuntz in Craft Room 5. We'll get a shoehorn to get in there. And also, we might not have a December meeting if we don't have any new issues on our agenda. So watch your emails. And if we have no other further business, I will adjourn the meeting.